Hello everyone, this is teacher Regil. This lesson will address the competency. Describe the relationship between the coefficients and the roots of a quadratic equation. First, we are going to review solving quadratic equation by factoring. I have here solve x squared plus 5x minus 14 equals 0. So, first thing we are going to do is factor. The factors of x squared plus 5x minus 14 are x plus 7 and x minus 2. So it's an equation, so it's equal to 0. Then after that, equate both factors to 0. So the first factor is x plus 7 equals 0, and then the second factor x minus 2 then equals 0. Then after that, we are going to solve each equation separately. So x plus 7 equals 0 if we subtract 7 from both sides, so we have x equals negative 7. For our second equation, if we add 2 on both sides, we have x equals 2. Now, the two roots are negative 7 and 2. We will let negative 7 be our first root, x sub 1, and 2 be our second root, x sub 2. Now, we are going to multiply these two roots, negative 7 and 2. So, the product is negative 14. Notice here that this negative 14 is just actually the last term of our quadratic equation. And also, if we are going to add the two roots, negative 7 and 2, the sum is negative 5, which is actually the opposite of the coefficient of our linear term. So this means in a quadratic equation written in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, the product of the two roots, x sub 1 and x sub 2, is just actually the last term, c. And also, the sum of the two roots, x sub 1 and x sub 2, is just actually the opposite of the coefficient of our linear term. We will do another example, but this time we have a leading coefficient here other than 1. So here we have 2. So again, to solve this quadratic equation, 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 0, we are going to factor. And the factors of 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 are 2x plus 1 and x minus 3. It's an equation, so it's equal to 0. Then after that, equate both factors to 0 again. So the first factor is 2x plus 1, so equate it to 0. And then the second factor, x minus 3, equate that also to 0. Now next, we are going to solve each equation separately. So for our first equation, 2x plus 1 equals 0. If we subtract 1 from both sides, we have 2x equals negative 1. And then divide both sides by 2, we have x equals negative 1/2. Okay, for our second equation, if we add 3 on both sides, so x equals 3. So the two roots are negative 1/2 and 3. Now, we will let this negative 1/2 be our first root and 3 be our second root. So we have two roots, x sub 1 and x sub 2. Again, we are going to multiply these two, negative 1/2 times 3. So our answer is negative 3 over 2. Now, if we are going to look at our original equation here, this is actually, the product is just actually, okay, the last term, negative 3, over the leading coefficient 2. And also, if we are going to add these two roots, negative 1/2 and 3, that will give us 5 over 2. And if we are going to look at our original equation, it's just actually the opposite of the coefficient of the linear term, negative 5, so it's positive 5, over the leading coefficient 2. Now from this, we have an observation that in a quadratic equation written in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, the product of the two roots, okay, x sub 1 and x sub 2, is actually equal to c over a, the last term, divided by the leading coefficient. And also, the sum of the two roots is actually equal to the opposite of the coefficient of our linear term over the leading coefficient. So it's negative b over a. Now we will use this idea to address the competency. Example number 1. Give the product and sum of the roots of the quadratic equation x squared plus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so the product, as what we have observed from the illustration we have, it's just actually the last term. So c, the product, is negative 6. And the sum is the opposite of the coefficient of our linear term. It's positive 5 here. So it's negative 5. Example number 2. Give the product and sum of the roots of the quadratic equation x squared minus 9x plus 20 equals 0. Again, the product is just the last term. So that's 20. So c equals 20. And also the sum is just the opposite of the coefficient of our linear term. It's negative 9 here. So that's positive 9. Example number 3. Give the product and sum of the roots of the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 7x minus 4 equals 0. This time we have a leading coefficient here not equal to 1. So it's 2. So from our observation, okay, the product of the roots of this quadratic equation is just actually equal to c over a. So we have here our a here is 2, our b is 7, our c is negative 4. So it's negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. And our sum, the sum of the roots of this quadratic equation, is just actually equal to the opposite of b over a. So in this case, it's negative of 7 over 2, which is equal to negative 7 over 2. Okay. I prepared here 4 items for your exercises. So give the product and sum of the roots of each quadratic equation. You can pause the video and try working on these 4 items. If you are ready, I will show you now the answer. For item number 1, the product is negative 18 and the sum is 7. For item number 2, the product is 15 and the sum is negative 8. For item number 3, the product is negative 5 over 2 and the sum is negative 3 over 2. For item number 4, the product is negative 2 over 5 and the sum is 1 over 5. Did you get all the items right? I hope you did. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Teacher Red Jill. Keep safe.